Subnautica 2 is already a great game. It's mysterious, it's colourful, and if you'll pardon the pun, deep. But it's still at its core an early access game. There's already a new update on the way as we speak that looks really promising. But the exciting thing is that through feedback, we as players have this unique opportunity to help steer this game to new depths. But for me, a lot of the tools I want to use simply aren't in the game yet. So I thought it would be a fun ramble to make a wish list of some of my favourite tools from Subnautica 1 that I think would go a long way to bridging the gap in its sequel, which will add the level of interactivity that we all crave. One quick thing before I go into it, this is just me rambling while being a bit more unfiltered and having a bit of fun. I already know some of my requested features may already be planned, already sort of in the game in another form, or even a little controversial, but really I just want you to know that I'm coming at this with the perspective of loving the game and wanting to see more stuff. So without further ado, here are the features from the original that I really want to see added to Subnautica 2. The Stasis rifle I think gets a bit of a mixed reception. Many players love it for being such a powerful tool, but I can also appreciate the comments from my last Subnautica video that it is also fairly overpowered in its implementation. It is though an incredible tool that can stop an entire Reaper Leviathan in its tracks and hold it in suspended animation for so long that it trivialises the act of dominating the creature. That means that the Stasis rifle seems to be both loved and hated simply because of how powerful it is. That's a nice problem to have in game design terms, that something is so useful that the main argument against it is that it's too good. But it's for that reason precisely that I think it would get an amazing second life in Subnautica 2. If there is a tool that can get a true glow up and rebalancing to make it more engaging to use, it would be the Stasis rifle. Maybe have it take more power or have a longer charge before firing, and suddenly you can have a tense standoff between you and the hostile creatures. A real risk and reward system that now means you get to engage with the predators just that bit more than you could before. I think the Stasis rifle will go a long way towards a self-defense argument that has consumed the game recently. Without going back over the killing fish debate, I think the real core of the argument is that players have no means of self-defense or engaging with hostiles. So by having tools like the Stasis rifle, unknown worlds can offer a powerful way to fight back and engage with the threat, and go a long way to restoring goodwill. It's about creating a meaningful way to fight back rather than just sit back and take attacks from hostile creatures. We should at least have some way to defend ourselves, killing or not. The Stasis rifle could recreate that sense of engagement that is sorely missing from the game right now. So we already know that the prawn suit is going to be returning in Subnautica 2 in the form of a new chassis that can be added to the tadpole, and I am super excited about that. The prawn suit was one of the greatest power trips in the original game, stomping around like you're in an invulnerable mech suit. It also opens up the possibility of upgrades to this prawn suit since it's coming as a chassis upgrade to the tadpole. But what does that mean about how it interacts with other upgrades? One upgrade that I want the devs to seriously consider keeping was the ability for the original prawn suit to have a drilling arm that was capable of breaking large ore deposits to get a huge amount of resources very quickly. I think the most rewarding thing about this mechanic was that ores automatically would get hoovered up into a dedicated and expandable cargo slot on the prawn suit. Currently the game is balanced to use a lot of resources. Late game players will know what I mean when I tell you there's a task in the current Subnautica 2 version's endgame that is really rough going for ores and uses up an absolute mountain of resources to complete. With that in mind, being able to grab and quickly hoover up even more resources on an industrial scale will go a long way to easing that late game progression, and hopefully as a bonus the developers will include more ore deposits in general if they choose to add drilling like this. They already actually have large ore deposits and they do have the sonic resonator which helps a lot, but I just want my mech suit fantasies to come true as well, and be able to drill on the seafloor and feel that sense of weight and power in doing so. So the knife is already pretty controversial, but I want to go a step beyond and see the return of the thermoblade, simply because it became a really clutch yet still optional item in the original late game. Being able to insta-cook fish around you for sustenance saved my bacon multiple times in Subnautica 1. The game already inherits that unforgiving hunger and thirst system from the original that goes down insanely quickly, so more options, including something akin to the thermoblade, would be a great boon to players to get a quick and dirty source of cooked food. I think in its current form, maybe it would be more likely to see this as an upgrade to the survival multi-tool, rather than a knife in its own right, but I don't see why the functionality couldn't be similar. That red glow around the thermoblade was also pretty cool. Imagine that same effect on the survival tool. The propulsion cannon is basically a gravity gun. That's just fun in and of itself, but also I think it could be expanded to more use. In the original Subnautica it's only really useful to move one or two boxes out of the way in the Aurora ship, but I would love to see more general gravity gun based play out in the wider open world. Imagine moving a giant boulder out of the way of a cave entrance and so on, or activating an alien weighing scale to unlock a secret. I just think there's a bit more you can do to play with the physics in the game, and Subnautica 1's propulsion cannon only scratched the surface of what it was really capable of. So the tadpole already has the haul chassis, I know that, but it is so slow. Surely there has to be a better way to go about this. Maybe we can instead have a second or third expansion slot on the tadpole itself to attach more lockers. I just really like a middle ground where I can keep more movement speed while having more storage to use in the game, especially with that endgame resource hog, meaning you will need to haul a lot of ores around. I just think in general storage in Subnautica 2 is not ideal, and find myself missing the original system where you could upgrade your Seamoth and prawn suit with additional inventory space fairly easily. So far it just seems like the whole storage situation was just handled better in the original. I know I'm using 2 entries for the prawn suit, but how can you argue against being an underwater Spider-Man? It felt so good once you got the rhythm of the grappling hook, that you could just traverse the map extremely quickly once you were capable. There's just something so fun about grappling hooks. I genuinely think they can make practically any game better just by their mere inclusion. Also in general, I think this just shows how much of an incredible feature the prawn suit really is in the original, that I want so much of its functionality to be available to me in the sequel. There is a reason it's a fan favourite, there's nothing quite like stomping around the ocean in a cool mech suit. So that was really a quick and dirty list of the features available in the original Subnautica that I think Unknown Worlds should consider adding to the sequel. That's not to say that any of these are criticisms or even complaining, but instead you should consider me an excited and passionate fan excited to see what is coming next. I think this is an incredible universe and it inspires me so much I just want to see all the things come out. It's also important to say that while many of these features aren't available, I'm placing emphasis on the word yet. This is an early access game, and as I said before, we're right at day 0 here, so it's very likely we will see many more features, perhaps even some of the ones on this list, but also maybe the devs can surprise us with features that are so good that they make the ones on this list completely unnecessary. You never know. All I know is I want more stuff, and I'm excited to see all the things that they will add to the game. So thank you so much for watching me babble about Subnautica for a while, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.